Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear students, this is revision for the microscopic slide for the second year. First, I'm going to give you a hint for the exam. For the microscopic slides, you're going to be examined for 9 slides. You're going to stand in front of a microscope. The microscope, under it, there is a long paper containing a number and an arrow. You're going to stand, for example, if you're standing on number 3, you're going to start answering from number 3. If you're standing on number 14, you're going to start answering from number 14. And when the doctor say move, you're going to move in the direction of the arrow. Okay, there is low power slides, there is fixed slides, and there is CNS microscopic slides. If I can see here a structure with lumen, if I, under the microscope, I inspect structure containing lumen. It may be either medium-sized artery and vein. This is the artery, thick wall, and the vein, thin wall, and contain wide adventitia. Aorta, or large elastic vessel, the media is formed mainly of elastic fibers, fenestrated elastic membrane. Okay, if the structure containing lumen, lining epithelium is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, from where you know there is a wavy basement membrane. Many layers of nuclei. The first is oval, then many of them rounded, then the most superficial is flat. So it is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. I have only one slide, which is the vagina, okay, formed of mucosa, musculosa, and adventitia. Rounded structure with the lumen, we have the uterus. Here, the uterus, narrow lumen, the lining epithelium, one layer, simple columnar, partially ciliated. The most prominent thing here in the uterus is the presence of the uterine glands, And when you inspect the musculosa, there is the middle layer of the muscle contains many blood vessels. Inner, outer, longitudinal, and the middle layer is circular and oblique, containing many blood vessels. Rounded structure with lumen, we have also the urinary bladder. The urinary bladder is lined with transitional epithelium. What do you know about transitional epithelium? The basement membrane is non-clear, non-wavy. Stratified epithelium, all of them, the nuclei is rounded nuclei. The most superficial cells are large cells, okay? It's formed of mucosa, musculosa, and adventitia. Here is a microscopic, here is the difference between the vagina and the urinary bladder. The most important point of this difference, the most important point is the epithelial lining. Here is the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and here is the transitional epithelium. If you see under the microscope small rounded structure containing lumen, you should inspect the lumen, the lining epithelium, and the muscle layer. Give it a try. What this structure? It's the ureter. Why? The lumen is cross-like or star-like epithelium stratified, in which all the layers are rounded nuclei. Then we have an intermediate thickened, the thickness of the muscle layer here is intermediate. It's not too big and not too small. What is this? It's fallopian tube. The lumen is highly folded. Lining epithelium, one layer, simple columnar, partially ciliated, and the muscle is very thin muscle, fallopian tube. The vast difference, the lumen is less folded. The epithelium not more than 2 because it is pseudostratified epithelium. And here is the very large muscle, musculosa, because it propagates the sperms against gravity. Okay, so the muscle is very thick. If I see vas difference with other thing, please be sure that the other thing is the cremasteric muscle. If you see the vas with the cremasteric muscle, write the spermatic cord. In addition, I can see pampiniform plexus and blood vessels and arteries, testicular artery. But the most important, write the spermatic cord. The most important issue after you see the vas difference, the presence of the cremasteric muscle. Don't write spermatic cord if you do not see the cremasteric muscle. If you see a structure covered by skin, let me revise the skin, the thin epidermis, and these are the hair follicles. What are the structures that covered with skin? We have either lactating mammary gland. These are the acini, in which the connective tissue is very minimal, and here the acini or alveoli containing milk, and the milk is vacuolated because it contains fat that dissolved with staining. What are the structure covered by skin? The eyelid. From one side is the skin, keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and here are the hair follicle. Here is the palpebral conjunctiva, stratified columnar with goblet cell. Here are the meibomian glands, and here is the muscle, skeletal muscle. And this is the lid margin containing these long hair follicles, which are the eyelashes. Glandular structure. We have prostate. What are the criteria of the prostate? The prostatic urethra, the connective tissue formed of fibromuscular, and the acini, prostatic acini, small, medium-sized, and large acini, mucosal, submucosal, and main mucosal part. Pituitary gland. It's very easy slide. Here is the pars distalis, and here is the pars nervosa. This is the pars intermedia, and this is the cleft. It's very easy section. Here is the suprarenal glands formed of cortex and medulla, covered with capsule. The zone under the capsule is known as zona glomerulosa. The largest zone is the fasciculata and appears as vacuolated as it contains many lipid droplets. Then the reticularis appears acidophilic. Then the medulla appears basophilic. Thyroid and parathyroid gland. Here is the thyroid gland with the structural and the functional unit, which are the thyroid follicle. And here is the parathyroid formed of the chief cells and the oxaphyll cell. Testis and epididymis. The testis is formed of many cuts of seminiferous tubules containing spermatogenic epithelium, spermatogenic cells, and Sertoli cell, while the epididymis is formed of pseudo-stratified columnar ciliated with motile cilia and many sperms in the lumen. Ovary. You can see the ovary is formed of outer cortex, which here in the slide, the cortex is eminent, the inner medulla is vascular, the outer cortex contains many ovarian follicles. Okay, this is primary, this is secondary ovarian follicle. Okay. Kidney. The slide is kidney shape. The magnification under the microscope is a little bit less than that. Here we are in the cortex. As I can see, the Malpighian renal corpuscle, and these are the convoluted tubules. Kidney. Here is the placenta formed of the chorionic villi containing the fetal circulation, Hofbauer cell, and the syncytial trophoblast, and this is the maternal blood. Just here, we are summarizing the compound structure that you saw. Testis and epididymis, thyroid and parathyroid, and the spermatic cord. Dear students, under the microscope in the exam, there would be low power fixed slides. You can stand on a slide in which the section is fixed in order, as it's very small, in order to be easy to inspect the slide. What are the low power fixed slides? The ureter and the vas difference. High power fixed slides. The thyroid follicle, which is the functional unit, structural functional unit of the thyroid gland. Here the colloid, here is the follicular cells, and this the parafollicular cell, thyroid follicle. Here is the Purkinje cell of the cerebellum. You know that the cortex of the cerebellum forms of molecular layer, Purkinje cell, and the granular layer. The Purkinje cell here, the cells appears pyriform, and the processes extend to the molecular layer, and the cells present only in one layer. Cornea, formed of 5 layers: epithelium, membrane, then the stratum, then the substantia propria. The epithelium, non-keratinized, stratified squamous epithelium, then the Bowman's membrane, then the substantia propria, and these are the keratocytes, then the Descemet's membrane, then the endothelial cells. This is the retina. Here the choroid, pigmented epithelium, layer of rods and cones, outer nuclear, outer plexiform, inner nuclear, inner plexiform, then ganglion cell layer. Organ of Corti, I can see here the basilar membrane. Okay, here is the outer phalangeal, standing over it the outer hair cell. This is the outer pillar cell, inner pillar, inner phalangeal, and inner hair cell, and this is the sectorial membrane. This is scala vestibuli, and this is the vestibular membrane, and here is the scala media, and this is the scala tympani. Dear students, the microscopic slides for the CNS, you're going to inspect it through this microscope. It's very easy. You're going to put the slide here, and this is as if it's magnifying lens. Okay? Dear students, this is a section in the spinal cord. First of all, from where I know it is spinal cord, the H-shaped gray matter. The H-shaped gray matter. How could I go? I'm going to see the slide here. The arms, we have posterior arm and anterior arm. The posterior arm is thin and divergent, okay, and the posterior arm is thick, okay. The central canal is more anterior. The central canal is more anterior. Here the thoracic segment. It is a small section, little bit small, less amount of the white matter than that of the cervical. The posterior arm and the anterior arm are thin, okay, and the posterior arms are parallel, okay. The central canal is anterior. Here is the lumbar section. From where you know, here the posterior arm are thick, okay, the white matter is very little, okay, and the central canal is central. Here we are in the medulla. We have two sections in the closed medulla. From where I know it's closed medulla, I can see central canal. So, is it closed or open? Look here at the gracile and cunate nucleus. They are small. This is the spinal trigeminal. Here is the direct pyramidal, as if number 11. Okay. Okay. Closed medulla, from where I know it's closed, as we said, here the central canal. Here the central canal become more posterior. The gracile and cunate are bigger than that of the motor. And here I can see the pyramids. And I can see the olivary nucleus. The olivary nucleus. Here is the pons. I cannot see any central canal. This is the fourth ventricle. Maybe you cannot see this, which is a part of the cerebellum. Okay. Here are the inferior cerebellar peduncles. Okay. And this is the basis pontis that contains the transverse pontine fibers. This is the midbrain superior. I can see here the aqueduct of Sylvius as if it is inverted pear-shaped and surrounded with pear-shaped gray matter. These are the superior colliculus. These are the superior colliculus. While the midbrain inferior colliculus, you can see the inferior colliculus. The aqueduct of Sylvius is diamond shaped, surrounded with oval gray matter. This is a section in the cerebrum which is formed of sulci and gyri. Okay, there is outer cortex. There is outer cortex which appear dark gray matter. Inner medulla appears pale. The inner medulla is pale, and the outer cortex, which is the gray matter, appears dark. The last slide here, dear students, is the cerebellum. You can see folded surface. You can see folded surface. Each fold or folium is formed of outer dark gray matter, and inner pale medulla. The outer dark gray matter, here is the dark part, which is the granular layer, of the cortex. Okay, the students, good luck inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.